Hi, this is Richard Roop with richardroop.com, and this is the Secrets of Free and Clear Deal Investing. And this is session number 6 on our series of frequently asked questions. And on the line I have with me Coach Courtney. How you doing, Courtney?
I'm wonderful. I'm excited to hear this, and I feel like we've done more than 6 of these.
Maybe. Well, this is right now we're doing a weekly series, so yeah, we've been doing it for a while. We've been hammering out some very commonly asked questions, so I encourage people to take advantage of the library of webinars that we did previous to this, where we answered other questions. The question that we're going to cover today is a very common question, which is, hey, Richard, all sellers I talk to want cash. Why would they do this? Okay, now on the last session, I believe we did talk about a number of reasons why sellers would take back a note, right, Courtney?
Yeah, we did. We covered some real good reasons.
Okay, but what I want to do is I want to lay out some ideas and some strategies behind and some thinking, kind of a mental mindset is, for example, all sellers expect cash. That's what they expect. And one of the mistakes you would make is a seller wanting all cash and being surprised. So,
right, yeah.
So you can expect that. So we're going to talk about that. Then at the end, we'll talk about, reviewing the other sessions and joining us for future sessions. But this week we're going to cover, the fact that all sellers typically want cash. Why would they take back a note? So, yes, all sellers just want cash. Well, before they know their other options, okay, if you think about it, we are contacting sellers of free and clear properties. We're using this advanced deal structuring strategy to offer a seller more than market value for a house based on how long they would consider doing some financing. Of course, as investors, we're going to buy a house real cheap, all cash. That's what we need to do to make money. Mm-hmm. But if we can figure out the money we're going to get when we get it occupied and the money that we're going to get each month and the money that we'll get later, if we add up all of those potential profit centers, cash now, cash flow, and cash later, and that adds up to, let's say, $150,000, and we're happy to make $75,000, then we can pay the difference in a premium price when we crunch all of our income, all of our expenses, all of our costs, and that's exactly what we do with the ultimate profit generator. So the sellers, if you think about it, sellers, when they go sell a house, they're just expecting a buyer to go out and get a bank loan, cash them out, and then they're going to, have some idea of what they're going to maybe do with that cash.
Right.
So they expect all cash. They want all cash because that's what they expect. But that's only true before they know their other options. And their other options is, hey, we'll give you some cash now and some cash later and some cash flow, and you get these advantages. You get to avoid a real estate agent. You get to avoid paying commissions. You get to avoid negotiating to a discounted price. In fact, we'll give you a premium price. And here's what we can do, and here are the benefits, and would that be good for your situation? So it's kind of like night and day, Courtney, when you talk to a seller. And sometimes when you first present the idea of them taking back a note, their initial, knee-jerk reaction is, no, I don't want to do that. I don't know you. I just want all my money.
Right.
So you never really want to ask them to take back a note unless they're looking at the numbers and until after they understand all the benefits that they would get if you bought the house. So all sellers expect cash, but all sellers do not need their cash, all right? Some sellers, in fact, would like some income. We just got a deal accepted, was it yesterday or Monday? And the client, I call him a client, the seller, was delighted to get long-term 20 years of cash. Actually, we offered 20 years. He settled on 10. 10 years of reliable monthly income without having to deal with the property ever again. And he loved that. And so that's what you're looking for. Now, other sellers, when they weigh their options, they say, you know what, I like the idea of getting income. I never even thought about that. In fact, a lot of sellers tell me that. I never thought about selling it with seller financing or getting income, but that sounds pretty good.
Well, yeah, most of them don't have any clue that it even exists. I mean, they're taught in this society of that's the normal means. You put your house on the market, somebody goes and gets a loan, you get money, and you move out. I mean, that's all they know. That's the norm for them.
Right. And, I'm not using it in my presentations now, but how do the banks make their money? They make their money on loans,
Right.
And so you get to be the bank.
That's what I say to sellers. I I explain it in terms that they understand, and I say, so it's sort of like you being the bank,
And the property becomes your collateral, just like a bank.
Right.
And we would have to take care of you and keep our promises, or we wouldn't be able to keep the property. You could get the property back. Of course, you don't want the property back, but that's that is your collateral. And I tell them that we're using a long-term buy and hold approach. We're willing to wait. We can make our money on the back end down the road, and so we have to take care of you in order to protect our profit. So some sellers would like the income, but only if you offered it to them. So a lot of we'll talk about some of the common mistakes that investors make, but they assume the sellers don't want to take back a note. They assume they need all their cash, and they assume that they're going to say no. And
right.
So in some cases, they don't even make the offer.
And they just need to be educated and see the benefits.
And that's what this is. A seller presentation is actually an education process. And normally the deals that we get closed, we talk to the seller 2 or 3 times, right? And it's
right.
all about making them feel comfortable, making them understand it, answering their questions, and educating them. And we're going to talk about that today as well, educating them. Because we are the professionals, and they're just selling a house, okay?
Right.
We know a lot more than them. And you would think people know what they're actually netting if they rent out a house. You think people know what they actually are netting if they sell a house through an agent. But they're clueless. And actually, sometimes they're misguided. And so we just want to point out the facts, educate them, get their agreement. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm actually netting less than I thought I was. I'm renting it out for $1,500. I thought I'm getting $1,500. Oh yeah, taxes. Oh yeah, insurance. Oh yeah, I did have a month of vacancy last year. Oh yeah, I did have to replace the carpet when they moved out. All right. So some sellers want a high price more than cash. That's why we want to present our high prices before we even talk about seller financing, and that's when we kind of let the cat out of the bag. Here's the price I can give you if you can consider doing some seller financing. Some want a quicker and easier sale than going through the traditional process, and of course that's what we offer. That's one of the things we offer, but that is attractive to people who don't want to deal with getting the house ready, fixing it up, putting it on the market, and dealing with buyers who may or may not close, and the uncertainty of it all. So that peace of mind is real important. Now, most sellers expect cash, but most do not, and most do not expect a terms offer. All right, and so why would they do this? Well, like we said in the last session, they love our prices. Okay, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the motivators. Is especially these people in these post-hot markets where they paid $300 and we're offering to buy it for $200 because it's worth $150.
Right.
So, or it's like we can actually give them the $300 that they paid for it, even though it's gone down 50%. We can give them the $300 if they do a 20-year note.
Right.
So some people have this emotional connection to the price because of what they got into the property or whatever reason. They're stuck on price. So we can overcome that. We can give them a great price. They want to avoid real estate agents. That means, again, showing the property, and some people have had bad experiences with agents or trying to sell a property. We buy a lot of properties from people who have already tried to list it, and they weren't happy with their agent, and they're just fed up, and they just want the house sold. And guess what? We can close in a couple of weeks. They do not need all of their cash. So this is a numbers game. We have to sift and sort through people who think they need all their cash. They want all their cash. But we got to educate them on the benefits of, if you really don't need it, here's an option for you. And if you did get the cash, what are you going to do with it? Where's a good, safe place to put your money these days?
Right.
Most people, now we do talk to people that are planning on buying another house or paying off some debts or something like that. A lot of people just don't know what they're going to do with the money. They just want it sitting in the bank. And as opposed to it sitting in the bank and getting, 0.5% or 1% interest or something like that, we can show them that we can pay them this huge premium price between what they might net selling it traditionally and what we can offer with them paying a note. That can be a nice big number, this big premium that they're getting, which is a kind of a nice investment for waiting, kind of a nice return for waiting for their money if they're in a position to do that.
Right.
But some people are in a position to consider it. Others, nope, it's just not going to work. And then we know it's a numbers game. We might have to talk to 10 or 12 or maybe even, if you're getting started, 15 people to get a deal. And so you just want to work through the numbers. But one of the common mistakes that I see investors make is they make a couple offers. They make 3 offers and none of them are accepted, and they decide it doesn't work.
Right. I think the whole thing doesn't work. They just haven't gone through enough numbers.
That's right. And and we've had people get their first offer accepted. Okay.
Yes.
And so it's, you never know, but you just know that it is a numbers game. You'll have to make a number of offers to capture $75,000 or $100,000 on a deal. Let's see, sellers, why would they do this? They do not know what they would do with the cash, and they want to pass on more to their heirs. So we talk to a lot of seniors, and they really don't need the money. They're financially independent. They don't even know what they would do with the money. In fact, they're going to be passing it on to their family or friends or whatever. And this is an opportunity for them to actually pass on more money to their estate, okay, by taking a higher price. And in fact, I got one deal accepted, Courtney. The guy didn't need the cash. He didn't need the monthly income. He just wanted to get rid of the house. It had been vacant for like 9 months. He bought it for his son-in-law to take care of his grandkid. He got the house back. It was all destroyed. It needed a lot of work. I bought that thing with no money down. $300. I paid him like $220, and I gave him a $220,000 note, $300 a month for 20 years. No and he was happy with that.
You met his need.
I met his need. And that's, obviously $300 a month. I think I borrowed, $70,000 out of the house when I bought it. Some rehab money, but probably an extra 30 or 40 grand in my pocket when I bought it. And the house more than, covers my private money first and his $300 second. And then, of course, I'm rapidly, every month I'm knocking down his note, $300. Now, sellers expect cash offers, and that's normal. And so when a seller says, hey, I don't want to do any funny business, I don't want to do any financing, I'm just expecting cash, another mistake that investors make is, oh, this is not going to work. They just want all cash. Remember, you can expect that. So that's normal. So you will make an all-cash offer. Now, if we make all-cash offers, where do we have to buy it, Courtney?
Very low.
Very low. Just as if we were buying, making all cash offer to anybody else, we're going to make cash offers that excite us, okay, that work for us. That if the seller said yes, you would actually be happy because, you might even not even know how you're going to fund it, but it's such a good deal. You could flip your contract for some cash, or you're going to get out there and fund it because it's going to be a great deal. You got a $200,000 house, you can buy it for $120,000, it's in good shape. That's a deal, okay? And so we're going to make cash offers. So when a seller says they just want all cash, we can tell them, okay, yeah, I'll be able to offer you all cash. And that's it. You don't have to get into the details until you're showing them the numbers. And we're going to contrast our terms offers with our cash offer. And we're going to point out this is a low offer. In fact, here's what we think you would net with an agent sometime down the road. And here's our cash offer, which is actually less. So if you want to put it on the market and go with an agent, you can get more. Or if you want a quick and easy sell, all cash, you can do this. However, if you want these prices, here's how it works. So you're always going to start with your highest offers when you start talking numbers. We construct usually 4 offers with terms plus a cash offer, and it's just spit right out of the Ultimate Profit Generator software. And I always start with the highest price. If you could consider doing some seller financing, that's when I mention it. I can pay you up to $436,000. Okay, and let me go ahead and show you how that works. And a lot of times they just let me go into it, and I can show them the numbers, how it works, and all that. Sometimes they say, I'm not going to do that, and right off the bat, that's rare. But they say, I can't do it. I'm not going to do any seller financing. Okay. Well, these are the numbers we put together, and then again, I want to make sure that they know what they're saying no to. So if they have that knee-jerk reaction, a lot of times they say, yeah, that's fine. We can pay you all cash, but just so you know, here's what we can do if you can consider it. I'm not asking to do it. I'm asking them to consider it. And then once they get, start filling it in and they look at the numbers and they understand the benefits, then they kind of turn around on you. Oh, well, I wasn't planning on doing it, but maybe I'll consider it now. So we want to compare our offers. Let's say it's worth $200 and we offer them $250. But if it's worth $200, they might net $170 selling it traditional. Right. So we want to compare our offers not to the $200 value, but to the $170 net. So we have a seller net sheet that prints out of the software, which shows that how they would net $170, and then we want to contrast that to the $250, and that's an $80,000 spread. Okay,
it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and otherwise it's only a $50,000 spread versus the value, which they're not going to get because they're going to have transaction costs and our price. So compare it to what they would net. Make cash offers that excite you, and then contrast the terms. Contrasting your terms prices with your cash price also makes them gravitate towards your terms prices.
Right.
Because that's an ugly number. 60 cents on the 50, 60 cents on the dollar. But you know what? Be prepared for a seller accepting your lowball cash offers, because they do that 1 out of 10 times as well.
Right. Right.
1 out of 10 deals that you get accepted, maybe even 1 out of 8, they're going to take your cash offer. And so don't be surprised. All right. Only mention taking back a note when you've given them the numbers and when they know your other benefits. So part of a seller presentation, we put the entire sales presentation in print, and we're kind of beefing that up. But all the stuff that we want them to know, we have in writing. And we can use that as kind of a presentation tool and an outline to make sure that we cover all the main benefits. So when we're talking to a seller and we're going to ask them to take back a note, before we do that, we also want them to know that we're buying it as is and that we can close within 30 days, and we don't charge any fees and commissions, right? And those are all benefits to them. And so you want to talk about those before you get to your offers. You want to only mention taking back a note when you've gotten to know them. So I spend more time talking about them and what they do and what they retired from, or how they spend their time, or where they're moving to, or all of that before getting into business. So I try and spend a lot of time building trust and rapport. And I just talked to one of our joint venture partner clients and said, when he went out to the house, and they spend an hour and a half talking about stuff without even talking about the house,
that's what it takes.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Yeah, exactly.
You want to become their best friend. You want them to enjoy your company. And when you think about it, they do have to like and trust you before even considering, financing you. So that's part of the rapport building process, and building a relationship with the seller and being generally interested in what they're trying to accomplish and what's important to them. And I'm generally interested in, if they're just retired and sold their business. Oh, what business was it about? Really? How did the change in the economy affect your business? And just ask them questions and let them talk about themselves.
Right.
Once you get to know them, you're also looking for what's motivating them, what their motivations are, their hot buttons. And then when you do ask them to do something, we call that closing. When we do ask them to pick one of your offers, we also at the same time say, and that way you can blank. You can get this or you can avoid this, whatever they told you they were trying to get or trying to avoid.
Right.
You only mentioned taking back a note in those, like I said, in those cases, or when they bring it up. Now, when one of my partners says, or one of my clients, my students or whoever, they tell me that the seller already said they don't want to take any financing. And I know we haven't even structured the offers or made the offers yet. And I go, well, who brought it up?
Right, yeah. They don't usually pluck that out of thin air on their own.
but sometimes they do.
Right.
And sometimes they do. And they might say, I don't want to do any seller financing. I just want all my money. Okay? And then you just say, fine, I can give you all your money. That's not a problem, which is true. That's going to be our all-cash offer. So one of the common mistakes would be to go, well, you know what? If you would do some seller financing, I can pay you more for the house. No, I don't want to do that. Well, and now you're trying to overcome the objection when they don't even know what they're rejecting. They don't even know what they're saying no to. So again, yeah, no problem. We can give you all your cash, and I'll also give you, some other options that you can look at if where we can, maybe give you more money or give you some more benefits if it works for you. So yes, you can pay all cash, and you're going to give them some options. So you can talk about the note when they bring it up, but be very vague and general and say, yeah, no problem. Or if they have questions, go ahead and just be vague and general until you can get in the specifics when you have the specifics. So, and then use the tools. The tools that I've created are the sales presentation and print tools. Two of those tools are called How We Construct Our Offers and the 5 Benefits of Seller Financing. And we only give those to a seller when they have our numbers. And so when you do give the numbers, you can go ahead and use those tools to point out, how we constructed our offers and the benefits to them on taking back a note. I don't want to finance. Now, if they said that before you made your offers, again, so you want to let them know, yeah, we can pay all cash. We'll share several other options with you. And you still have your other options. So if we can't do a deal and we don't buy your house, you still have your other options available to you. In fact, if we don't become your buyer, what are you planning on doing? Are you thinking about listing it? Are you thinking about keeping it, renting it out? What would you do if, we would love to buy the house. We like it. I know you want to sell it, so hopefully this will all work. But if we don't buy it, what are you going to do? That's something nice to know. Then that can beef up your presentation. And what is a presentation? You're meeting with a seller. You're gathering information about the property so you can run your numbers, so you can structure your offers and get back to them. You're looking at the property perhaps, okay? And you're gathering information about their situation. Then when you're ready to present your offers, you're doing a presentation. That's when you want to make sure you've kind of reiterated or touched on or mentioned all the benefits that you offer, reiterate the ones you might have already mentioned, but you're going to do a full presentation and a close. That means you're going to lay out the some of the setup information, and then ask a few questions, then present the offers, and then ask them, which one of these works best for you? In fact, I was doing a seller presentation with a seller today, and I had the numbers, and it was over the phone, so I had my spreadsheet in front of me, and we made a couple offers, and she says, well, what if instead of doing 9 years, we did 7 years, okay? And what if you did this amount down, $40,000 down instead of $20,000 down? And so I was just, she kept wanting me to change things, and I kept changing them. And she realized that I'm not negotiating. It's basically she saw that the more money down she got, the less monthly income she got.
Right.
She saw that the shorter term she went, the lower the price, And so she was, getting a feel for the fact that I'm not trying to negotiate. I'm just telling her what we can do. And in fact, I told her that. I said, I'm a bad negotiator because I don't leave any room for negotiation. This is what we can do. But you have these different options. And so it's like, take your pick. What if they decided that, okay, I'll just have it listed. If you don't buy the house, I'll list it. Then I'll ask them some questions. Have you ever done that? I want them to talk about that. How long do you think it would take? What would you list it for? Okay. Would you fix it up first and spend money on that? What do you expect to net when it's all said and done? And like I said, we have a seller net sheet that actually shows them what they can expect to net when it's all said and done. And then I want them to compare what they think, what they would net selling it traditionally, compare that to our high offers. And so when they say, I'm going to list it, no, I don't want to do this, I'm just going to list it. I'll say, great, that might be the best thing for you to do. Sounds like you have a bunch of time. And then I'll ask them these questions, and then I will go back to my offers again. So that's called like closing again, right? How many times so they're saying no. How many no's do we take?
5 at least.
At least 5. You can expect them to say no at least 5 times, and then so you say, you agree, you call them by name, you agree, and you ask them a question. And I ask them a series of questions, and then you go back and you close again. And then they give you another objection. Well, I'll just rent it out. Have you ever done that? What do you think you can get for rent? Who would manage it? Do you have any money set aside in reserve to manage the property? See, that's a negative about renting a property out, right? Is that
right.
You've got to put money into the property to manage it. But people don't think about that. We talked about this education process, whether they're going to list it or they're going to rent it. We want to walk them through and ask them these questions so they realize what they're actually suggesting that they're thinking about doing. And then a lot of times it's like, you know what, I really don't want to do that. And then if they're going to rent it out, I might even say, why would you do that? And sometimes people are waiting for the market to come back. Okay, or they might say that I just want to wait for the market to come back. And so I'll say great, fine, and then I'll point out the fact that I can give them the similar income that they're getting now, that they would net renting it out, on a note where they don't have to deal with the property, don't have to manage it, don't have to write any checks, and I'm giving them that future price. I'm actually giving them the price that they're hoping to get in the future. I can give it to them now with the same income they might get renting it out, but without the hassle.
Exactly.
So I want them to compare their net rent income with the note income, and we have a tab on the UPG for that. I talk to landlords all the time, and they think they're netting a lot more than they actually are, and I get them to agree, oh yeah, I did have vacancies, I did have repairs, I did have management, I do have taxes and insurance. And it's funny when someone says I'm getting $1,500, I'm netting 12, and I show them that they're actually netting 8, and they go, yeah, okay, I'm netting 8, and I say, great, well, I can give you $900 a month on a note
without any of the headaches.
Yeah. All right, so you can walk them through the net sheet. And by the way, any seller who says I'll just continue to rent it, or I'll go ahead and rent it out if I can't sell it, guess what that means? They don't need any cash.
Yeah, they don't need the money.
They don't need the money. Common mistakes I see. I brainstormed this today. Talking terms before making your offers. Not being general in your answers and getting bogged down in the specifics. So a seller could control the conversation with you by, bringing up all these little details, right? And when you don't even, well, what are you going to offer me for the house? Well, and this is what someone told me. They said they told the seller, well, if I pay you all cash, you're going to have to take a big discount.
Oh, goodness.
But if you can do some seller financing, we can pay you more. Oh, I about shot myself. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to pay me for the house? Ask me, Courtney. Ask me.
What are you going to pay me for the house?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and research the market, Courtney, and figure out what other similar properties have sold for recently in the neighborhood, and I'll do what I can to work up some numbers where I can actually pay you more than you could possibly get, selling it through an agent. A lot of times we can offer more than market value, but what I'll do is I'll do my research and I'll crunch the numbers. In fact, I haven't even seen the house. When can I come out and see the house? Okay.
Good. Yep.
All right. So if you ever get that, they're just trying to blow you out of the water. So be nice. Some of these people have actually gotten postcards from other investors, or other investors. They might have talked to other investors, and they just don't think it's going to be it's real. They're looking to cross you off the list. So if they're being abrasive or put offish, what you want to do is kind of match their experience a little bit, be a little abrasive, be a little put offish back to them, and then pull them out of that trance. Because again, by doing that, by matching how they're acting and how they're talking and all of that, you're going to create what in NLP, that instant rapport, because they're going to see you as them, and that's going to create an unconscious rapport. So you can learn how to do that. And one of the simplest things to keep in mind is kind of match and pace their demeanor, okay? And that does create some instant unconscious rapport. And once you have rapport, then it's like opening the garage door. If you've ever tried to drive your car into the garage without opening the door, it's a little messy.
Not recommended.
So if you open the door, you have a more clear channel of communication, and it's almost like they're not even hearing what you're saying because they've got their door closed, right? You got to open that door so they can actually start hearing some of the good stuff you're trying to communicate.
Yep.
So common mistakes would not be in general in your answers, and then you can get into specifics later when you have some specifics. It's really common sense. And then not building the rapport or spending the time to do that. Not meeting the seller when you can. So if you have an opportunity to meet with the seller, even though you're not prepared to make offers yet, do so. That you want to build that relationship. Being discouraged after a couple offers, right? Just after a couple offers like we talked about. Not realizing that you need to get a number of offers under your belt to work the averages. Not having a follow-up plan. More than half of the deals you close will be after they say no 5 times
Right.
on your presentation. They just say, no, I'm going to do something else, or it's not going to work for me, or whatever. Half of the deals that you close were on those people that originally said no, and then either you called them back or they called you back. So a mistake would be letting them to forget about you. Okay.
Right.
All right. Because sometimes they just think, you know what, I don't want to do this. I'd rather just get cashed out. I can put it on the market, cashed out. And then they, if you can't talk them out of that, or, dissuade them from doing that, then just encourage them to, I hope you good luck with that. If anything changes, you have a buyer. One of the reasons people put a house on the market is to find a buyer, and you've already got one. So if that doesn't work out, just give us a call back, and then follow up.
Well, and having a follow-up system is part of the education process, because when you're in that presentation with them, you've just started that initial education and opening of their mind to this new concept and way in which to sell their house. And so it's important to go back afterwards and fill in the blanks. What questions do they have? What things have they considered? What concerns have popped up? All of those things that happen that you kind of unleashed by opening up their eyes to this, now those things have to be answered.
That's right. And what you've pointed out is there's 2 types of follow-up. There's follow-up on your active leads, and there's follow-up on your follow-up leads. So a follow-up lead is someone who said, no, I'm going to do something else. An active lead, you're right, you have to follow up with them. And then that's exactly, like I mentioned earlier, we might have to meet with someone, talk to them 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 times before we go to contract. And that's because you are laying something out new for them. And you are educating them, and you can't overwhelm them. So you want to lay out the general scope of things, get their feedback, find out what they're thinking, see what questions they have, and then you do want to give them an opportunity to think about it and get more information. So that's why we've created this sales presentation and print material where we can leave it with them at the house and follow up, or we can send it to them by email or mail after we've presented, if they're out of state owner and we're doing it over the phone, and give them an opportunity to read this great stuff, get their questions answered, get more familiar with it. One of the reasons why sellers say no to seller financing is because they don't understand how it works.
Exactly.
We haven't spent the time to explain how it works. They've never done it. We know how it works, but a lot of times they don't. And anybody who is confused is going to say no. Confused mind says no.
Right.
So encourage them, look, and a lot of sellers say, hey, I'm not going to make a decision right now, and I want to encourage them. Look, I know that. This is an information process. We'll just take it as long as you need to make a decision.
Yep.
And then another common mistake would be being too conservative in making your offers. So instead of using an accurate after repaired value, market value in your deal structuring, you go ahead and lower your offer because you want to build in some protection there. Knowing the market rent is $1,200, but expecting to get $1,100 or $1,000 just to be conservative. These type of things, I would encourage you to use the most accurate numbers that you have, because there's a lot of conservativeness and protections built into the deal structuring process. So you don't have to be conservative. What you want to do is be as accurate as possible, because otherwise you're not going to offer as much as you could have, and you're going to lose out on a big profit just because you were trying to protect yourself. I think we already talked about on one of these sessions, what's the worst case? What if I bought the house and it went down in value, right? We walked through that process.
Yep.
We realized instead of making $70,000, we're going to make $40,000. So there's a lot of protection in there, and by getting a deal closed and done, there's a lot of things that can go in your favor.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So, and then another mistake is going for it all. Okay, I want, instead of making, a $60,000 profit target, I'm going to do an $80,000 profit target, and I'm going to keep half of the cash flow. So I'm not going to offer the seller the net cash flow. And I'm going to pull out $20,000 in extra cash. So I'm going to get a bunch of cash up front. I'm going to get half the cash flow, and I'm going to make a huge profit. And all of that lowers your offers. Pulling more cash up front lowers your offers, plus lowers the amount of cash you can give them down. Taking half of the cash flow or some of the cash flow reduces the cash flow that you can offer them. Increasing your profit target, and a target that you would actually be happy with, going for more than you really need, maybe just to protect yourself. You don't need to do that, okay? Because we've really calculated all the numbers. I would say in the past, when you're using like formulas to pay all cash for a house, like Ron LeGrand would say, don't, your cash Mayo, maximum allowable offer is 70 cents on the dollar minus repairs. That's the maximum allowable offer. That's your Mayo. And he would say, never pay Mayo, because it's just a formula, right?
Right.
And
right.
Now, when we crunch all of our numbers and we know exactly what our exit is and all of that, we can pay Mayo. And we don't have to lower our price and beef up our profit to protect ourselves, because we've already very, very specifically crunched our target profit. So trying to go for too much is another mistake. So that's let's see. So the question that we had was, all sellers I talked to want cash. Why would they do this? I think we kind of covered that, but the main thing I wanted to cover is don't be surprised, and don't tell them, well, you're going to have to take terms. Just tell them, yes, I can pay you all cash.
Right. And the reasons they do it are as many as there are sellers. I mean, people ask that question all the time, and I say There's as many reasons that people do it as there are sellers that you talk to. There's no one reason they do it. It's a matter of having a conversation and getting to know them to find out why they would do it. They need the income. They want, like you said, I've had one of those as well. I just want this house out of my life and out of my family. And so there's tons of different reasons why people choose to do it. It becomes your job, if you will, to educate them on the value of doing it.
That is right. Your job is to educate them on the value of doing it, because you might understand, and hopefully you do understand the value to them, because if you don't buy into it, it's going to be hard to get them to buy into it.
Right.
You need to buy into it and realize, look, if they accepted any of your offers, that means it works for them, okay? You may not know why they're doing it, okay? You're going to try and find out, but it doesn't matter. If they decide to accept one of your offers, that means you became their best option. You know, they might have some unspoken motivation, right? And sometimes that comes out later when you're closing the deal, you know. Then you find out the real reason why they're doing it. You thought you knew, but you didn't. Now they open up to you, okay? So you'll never be able to know all of the underlying reasons. That's why it's important to point out all the ones that we know are attractive to most sellers. And like you said, any reason that you can think of for a seller to sell a house, and there's just hundreds of them, right? And if you have any experience dealing with sellers, you've heard of them all, right?
Right.
Any one of those reasons would be a reason for them to sell to you. And they may want all their cash, but they're willing to wait for their cash because of this reason.
Yep.
And the biggest reason they won't do it is they don't have any good reason to do it. They have time and options. They're just going to keep the property if they don't sell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are unmotivated sellers. And with our marketing, we target people with free and clear houses, people with lots of equity. And people say, well, that's an unmotivated market. That's true. They have less motivation. But anybody who wants to sell has some underlying motivation for selling. Downsizing, moving closer to family, being transferred, house is too big, you know, too much for them, you know, they need some cash, whatever it is. So, yep, all the reasons that a seller would sell would be the reasons they go with you, and your job is to educate them that this is one of their options. If they can do it this way, they can get these benefits and these prices, and if they just want all their cash, you can give them a quick and easy sell, all cash, if the price works for them.
Right. Well said.
All right, so I encourage everybody, if you like this series on the FAQ that me and Courtney and the coaches have been putting together, go ahead and review previous sessions that we've done. Join us for the future ones. Right now we're doing them weekly for the time being. Get support from me. If you're in my joint venture partnership program, I'm here to support you. We spend as much time as you need together one-on-one. Just jump on my schedule for anything you need. The coaches, take advantage of your coaches if you're in the coaching program. And if you're not in the coaching program or the JV program, if you need support, get a hold of Dina. She's our program advisor. You can give her a call. Her number is 1-800-557-3171. And you can email her at dina@richardroop.com. So she's here to support you and also get you involved in any of our free programs or our products or our services that would help you get to your real estate goals and your financial goals. Anything else on covering this particular question that we covered today, Courtney?
Nope, I think you've covered it very well and gave all of the reasons, and I think it's more of an education process than people know, and so I think by pointing that out, you've helped a lot of people get past that blockage that they have and why this would happen.
Right. So if you're an Inner Circle member, you have access to the Inner Circle member libraries, and we have a lot of resources under the category buying and negotiating, as well as deal structuring. If you're an executive member, you got access to a lot more of these weekly updates, or kind of a lot of the information we give the JV partners. Our executive members are kind of like JV partners in training, or JV candidates. They're not willing to commit and go out and buy houses with me one-on-one, but they want to get educated and get familiar with it and get ready to make that commitment. So that's our executive membership. And then if you're in coaching, all of my JV partners are in coaching. You got additional materials available to you that would help you get familiar with educating the seller, doing seller presentations. So all these sales presentation and print tools that I'm talking about, you should download them, you should be using them, and you should read through them several times to get so that you've become kind of an expert on covering those points when they come up.
Yep, you should know them like the back of your hand, as they say.
All right, well, that's it for me, Courtney.
All right, excellent. Good training.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right.